Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report, running late because he left equipment out in the other room. Episode 449. Whew, I'm here. What time is it? 8:01. I'm only a minute late. I started this stream and I'm like, all right. Oh, where's my cell? And I had to run out the room to get my cell. All right. Welcome to the JPA report. Another day, another issue. Okay, so let's see. What was it? Oh yeah. Before we get started, I want to just say a happy second anniversary to my daughter Rose and her husband, and 2 years. Wow. And they're stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. But yeah, happy anniversary. We're proud of y'all. Okay. So it's a catching my breath. Okay, JPA report, episode 449, about to hit 450. Whew. Okay, if you're not already a follower of the JP8 report, click the little bell right beside where it says the JP8 report, and click the bell and scroll down and click the word follow. That's how you follow the podcast. Greatly appreciated. And then right next to that, you'll see a thumbs up. That's your like. That's the like button. Click that for me, please. And then let's do some chats if y'all want. Do the live chat. Nobody in the chat but me. Okay, that's all right. We can play. All right. So follow, like, and chat. That'd be great. I was out watching Vince before I came in here. Also, that's how I forgot my phone. But he was tearing some stuff up really bad about Anthony Fauci and stuff. Man, so Vince is off the air now because I'm on. But the last thing he was talking about was the fact that Senator Rand Paul had to kick Fauci's lawyer out of the hearing room because he would not obey the rules that were set for him, because he was supposed to sit in the chairs behind Anthony Fauci, and he insisted sitting right beside Anthony Fauci and flapping his gums, right? And didn't want to listen, so they kicked him out, and everybody clapped. All right, so we'll get to more about Anthony Fauci in just a minute. So, and then let's see what we got. America 250. I got a letter here, America 250 letter from General Washington to the President of the Continental Congress, which is John Hancock. Okay. So, sir, and this is for the date, July 30th, 1776. Sir, I was this morning honored that with your two favors of yesterday's date and agreeable to your request, have given Mr. Palfrey liberty to negotiate your claim with Mr. Brymer, and wish it may be satisfied agreeably to you. I last night received a letter from General Schuler, a copy which I do myself to the honor to transmit to you. You will thereby perceive his reasons for leaving Crown Point and preferring the post. The Council of Officers determined to take opposite to Ticonderoga. I am totally unacquainted with these several posts and the country about them, and therefore cannot determine on the validity of his observations, or think myself at liberty to give any direction in the matter. Congress will please to observe that he says of their distress for money from hence he can do no relief, there being only about $3,000 or $4,000 in the paymaster's hands, according to his return this morning, in all but 2 months' pay due to the Army, besides many other demands. I could wish the proper supplies of money could be always kept. The want may occasion consequences of an alarming nature. By a letter from him on a prior date up to the copy enclosed, he tells me that Mr. Ruckman, who has just returned through the country of the Six Nations, that's the Iroquois Confederacy, reports that the Indians who were at Philadelphia have gone home with the very favorable ideas of their strength and resources. This he heard in many of their villages, a lucky circumstance if it will gain either their friendship or security of neutrality. In my letter on the 27th, I informed Congress of my views and wishes to attempt something against the troops on Staten Island. I am now to acquaint them that the advice of General Scale, for the want of craft, as the enemy have the entire command of the water all around the island, I have desired General Mercer to have 9 or 10 flat-bottomed boats built at New York Bay and Elizabethtown, with a design principally to keep up the communication across Hackensack and the Passaic rivers, which I deem a matter of great importance and extremely necessary to be attended to. Since I wrote you yesterday, 11 ships more, 4 brigs, and 2 sloops have come into the hook. I have not yet received intelligence of any of the late arrivals but I suppose they shall not be long to remain in a state of uncertainty, having reason to believe that Lord Howe will readily come into the exchange of such prisoners as may he be immediately under his command, and that something will be offered on this subject within a day or two, or rather come in and answer the proposition I have made to General Howe. I shall be glad to leave Congressman's interpretation and resolve of the 22nd empowered of the commanders to exchange, whether by the word sailor they meant sailors generally, as well as those taken into the vessels of the private adventurers by the enemy, and those belonging to the continental cruisers or vessels in the continent's employ, or whether they only design to extend exchange to the latter, that they most particularly employ. I would also observe that hereto sailors belong to the merchant ships that have fallen into our hands, and those employed merely as transports have not generally been considered as prisoners. I submit it to Congress whether it may not or be now necessary to pass a resolve declaring their sentiments and the subject and in general who are to be treated as prisoners of war and are taken aboard vessels belonging to the subject of the British Crown. The result of their opinion upon the first question proposed will be pleased to transmit me by the earliest opportunity. All right. So that was from General Washington to John Hancock. All right. That's from the day in 1776. We're getting closer to Signature Day. This coming Sunday, August 2nd, is the day that everybody signed the Declaration of Independence, if you didn't know already. All right. So next, the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the armament shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes both in person and online. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop. Your safety is our priority. All right. So I am back. Thank you all very much. Hope y'all at least go to his website and check out what he has to offer. That because he's a really good company, he's a really good person. Him and his wife, and they have a really good gun store. All right. Iran update. This is the update. U.S. attacks Iranian their IRGC command and control locations in retaliation for their attempted attack on soldiers in Jordan. All right. No battle damage assessment released so far. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, met with Prime Minister Netanyahu to confirm defense agreements and stuff. So, all that really classified gobbledygook that keeps soldiers alive and people safe. All right. U.S. sanctions Iranian shadow insurance companies. That was from Scott Bessett. That was his doing because they had these shadow insurance companies that were funding these ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz, which enabled them to extort money and stuff. Right. So that got shut down. U.S.-owned tanker. U.S.-owned tanker that was flagged from the Marshall Islands was hit by a drone off the coast of Egypt yesterday. 20 vessels have been rerouted since May 28th, I think it was, when everything flared back up. Saudi Arabia pushes for a global alliance for Red Sea shipping for defense of it. China has reportedly sent 400 rocket launchers to Iran. All right, and one of the outcomes that stuff that came out was about Khamenei's whereabouts. The Israelis say that he is alive. They just don't know where he is alive at. All right. Yesterday, the Dow Jones that closed down 1,153.18 points, and that put the Dow at 51,594.14. West Texas Intermediate was down from when I reported it this morning during the morning brief. It is now at $83.48 a barrel, and Brent crude oil also dropped. It is now $89.83 a barrel. It dropped $1.50 from about 2 hours ago. All right, so that's your JP8 report. Announcements. Here we go. On the 6th of August in Belton, Texas, it's Pints and Politics at the Dead Fish Grill at 6 p.m. It's just south of the Belton Dam on Lake Road. Okay, it's Pints and Politics is brought to you by Elephant and Room Strategies with Chip Howe. All right. Next is, and I will be doing the placard for today, the graphics, but the Coppers Cove Conservative Club. We are meeting on the 11th of August in Gatesville at no, what I'm talking about. We're meeting the 11th of August in Coppers Cove at Giovanni's for the Coppers Cove Conservative Club. The next one is, I can't believe I said that, man. Coryell County Republican Women is going to meet on the 22nd of August at 6 p.m. at the Texas Station Event Center in Gatesville, Texas. We're going to have, it's a dinner, it's a dance with a band, a Texas Connection band. We'll be serving fajitas from El Tapatio. There's going to be a silent auction. And The keynote speaker is going to be Steve Munisteri. He works for Governor Abbott. All right. So that's a good one to go to. And then the next one we have is Cordell County Republican Party fundraiser is going to be on August 29th for Patriot Range Day. It's going to be at the Holly Gun Range. You turn on Bald Knob Road south of Gatesville, and it'll take you to the range. $20 a person to fire all you want. They're going to have some special weapons there, and the armament shop is going to bring ammo that you can buy there too if you want. And then Curmudgeon's Honeymead Winery, they're going to have some of their products there you can buy and taste if you want, only after you finish firing, because we all know guns and alcohol don't mix. All right. And then for the final announcement is for September 26th, Cordell County Republican Party. We're having a fish fry at the Texas Station Event Center. It also starts at 6 p.m. It's a magic number, isn't it? It's going to be really good. Fish and fries and other stuff, auctions. And we have 2 keynote speakers. We are going to have Senator Pete Flores, Senate District 24, and then the RPT chairwoman, Republican Party of Texas, Chair Dorinda Randall is going to be speaking also. All right. Now, if you want to buy tickets for those events, for the Boots and Bling or for the fish fry, they are located. If you go back to the description of the podcast where it says America 250, that's the description for the podcast. Toward the bottom, you'll see 2 hyperlinks in there. One for CCRW, that's Republican Women, and then there's another one that says CCRP. That's for the Republican Party. You can buy tickets through there, or you can just leave us a donation if you like. Totally up to you. I would go because the food's going to be good, the company is going to be good, and that kind of stuff. Now, like I said earlier, I hope y'all don't mind me giving these announcements, because in doing so, it allows people to frequent Republican establishments and hang out with like-minded people. Because when you're comfortable being around other Republicans or in other parties, you tend to stay with them longer. When you get involved with them, you stay involved. When you get organized, you stay organized. We're in it to win. Texas, we got to keep Texas red and keep the Congress fully red for President Trump in his last 2 years. So that I'm going to keep giving these announcements out so people know where to go. All right. And then if you're interested, filing period in Texas for the November election for nonpartisan races are now still ongoing, especially here in Copper's Cove. We have the city council and school board races that are open right now for people to file in. All right. So those are your announcements. Let's get on with the rest of the JP8 report. What do we got? We're 8:20. Wow. Okay. Hold on. Okay. More about Anthony Fauci. Like I said, tell me lies, sweet little lies. How much did he lie to the American public from 2020 to 2024? How much? Because people don't trust him. There are stuff that's happening to people who got the vaccines. There are stuff that are happening because of the coronavirus itself. Like Ashley Moody, Senator Moody said yesterday, what is the purpose of the 2014 begin date of the pardon? And she said, could it be that was when the gain of function research started on the coronavirus in Wuhan, which he was a part to? Okay, maybe that was, and you know what? That makes total sense. of that being the reason why, because everything coalesces around the coronavirus, which for his pardon, right? So if they go back to the beginning, all the way back to 2014, maybe that was the reason why they did that, the preemptive pardon. Like I just told my wife a while ago before I came back here, what was the purpose of the pardon in the first place? He went to the Department of Justice and asked them to give him a pardon. Usually, when you get a pardon, you did something wrong, and he got a pardon signed by the auto pen, not by the president. Okay, and that's a whole other thing. Anyway, that we're really not going to get into. But so here we go. Anthony Fauci. I talked a lot about him yesterday, and I'm going to talk a lot of that hearing was 111 times he pled the Fifth Amendment. Wow. So Dr. Anthony Fauci's fight on Capitol Hill may not be over yet. A top House Republican signaled that after the former public health official pled the Fifth more than 100 times in an intense Senate hearing, if, quote, if former President Biden's blanket auto pen pardon is valid, then Dr. Fauci has no right to refuse to answer questions. Congressman Comer said that yesterday. Dr. Fauci clearly knows his auto pen pardon is legally questionable grounds and decided to protect himself today rather than to provide the truth to the American people. Fauci appeared before the Senate GOP panel yesterday amid new scrutiny over how he handled the COVID-19 pandemic, following the release of a diary he kept during why would he write in a diary? I haven't even looked at it yet. Comer accused former Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, and he's running for governor of California, of withholding Fauci's diary from the House Oversight Committee during the Biden administration. Hey, Luke. Oh, wait a minute. Luke wrote something. Let me. Luke Mahler, I'm sorry, a good friend of mine from church. So he wrote on here on the chat, so I'm going to read what he wrote. I don't understand how he was able to plead the Fifth after being pardoned. Doesn't the Fifth not apply to him anymore? No, the Fifth Amendment allegedly does not apply to him anymore because he was pardoned, and everything that that Rand Paul was going to have asked yesterday was inclusive in that 10-year period where he got the pardon for, which would have exonerated him. He had no fear of anything as long as he told the truth before that Senate committee, right? Except if he did not think the pardon was a valid pardon. And they were saying yesterday that they were thinking that he might have pled the Fifth 111 times because he was fearful that they might file charges on him. Now he's got to worry about Senator Rand Paul filing charges on him for being in contempt of that committee because he made it into a joke, a clown scene, because he 111 times that he made an opening statement, then he pled the Fifth. If he was going to plead the Fifth Amendment, he should have pled the Fifth at the very beginning of it and not even given a statement. All right, if that all makes sense. And thank you for watching, Luke. I really appreciate that. And you did a really good job last night on the video at church. Let's see. Where was I at? Diaries made public by Senator Rand Paul, a longtime Fauci critic and chair of the committee, before which Fauci appearing on Wednesday, showed a high-profile doctor reflecting on his pandemic-era fame and discussing the disease origins. Some entries appeared to show Fauci taking credit for influencing policies that closed schools for during the pandemic, one of the most hotly debated aspects of how the government handled COVID. Uh, he told the House Oversight Committee in January 2024 that, quote, I did not close the schools, but he highly recommended that the schools were closed and businesses were closed and people were secluded in their houses, except for bars, right? Yeah. Um, Now, there was another thing that was mentioned in there, and it's not even covered in the rest of this, but I do believe it was Senator. Oh, give me a second here. Either Senator Josh Hawley or Senator Jody Ernst brought it up to everybody's attention because of Colonel Burks. That's Dr. Burks. She was his cohort during the beginning era of the COVID virus in 2020 and 2021. She was a full bird colonel in the Army when she retired. Uh, she wrote in her book, and I don't doubt that she did not lie in her book, because that would be serious, and that would cause her to be uh, activated from retirement and court-martialed. Because just look at Senator Kelly from Arizona. Same thing happened to him. You lie, you cheat, you steal, stuff like that. They can recall you back to active duty and prosecute you. Okay, so what she wrote in her book, what they were talking about yesterday, was that about a week prior, not even a week prior to opening statement, was just an insult. Yeah, you're right, Scott. Scott Scray, another one of my friends, wrote that on the chat just a minute ago. It was a complete insult. It was. He should have, if he was going to take the Fifth Amendment, it should have been from the very beginning, not even a statement. Just go in there and plead the Fifth. Don't talk to any Democrats. Don't talk to any Republicans. Just sit there, put his thumb in his mouth and suck it and not say a word. That's all. Or put a passy in. All right. But what happened was about within a week of the president giving his statement, his speech, where he said 2 weeks to bend the curve. Right. Everybody heard it. 2 weeks to bend the curve. The goal was the break the back of the virus before Easter. Right. Because there was no vaccine back then, or I don't know. It's not a vaccine because it's not going to cure you. All right. But they had a meeting at Dr. Burke's house where they were colluding, that they were trying to trap President Trump into, get this, forcing him to make the statement on the bend the curve statement, even though they knew it was wrong. Right. And that was his goal. It was to influence the president to make that kind of a decision, even though we knew it was the wrong decision to make, right? He didn't put it in his diary, from what I believe, but she put it in the book itself. I want to know why. I want to know why uh, Senator Ashley Moody brought up the 2014 agreement where in Wuhan, China, they began gain of function researching on the coronaviruses. You know, when I was in the Army, okay, everyone knows I was in the Army. I wore my Afghanistan hat all the time still, right? Uh, the one thing that feared most of us the most was NBC, nuclear, biological, chemical. And the one letter in that is biological. If you got struck by a biological agent in the field, you're dead, because you ain't going to show symptoms at first that you've been afflicted. It's going to be 1 or 2 days after the fact, and you'll be able to spread it to everybody around you, right? I mean, Yeah, we get smallpox, we get anthrax, we get different stuff, but there are some bugs out there that they can deploy on a battlefield that would kill you dead outright, and there's no cure for it, right? So that is the purpose of gain. I mean, so you have, let's put it like this, coronavirus, right? That's a common, there's like uh, 15 or 20 different strains of the coronavirus, right? And none of them are lethal, right? But they're doing gain of function, how to weaponize a virus that doesn't kill people, but they're weaponizing it, right? And it slips out of the lab somehow and causes a worldwide pandemic. And lo and behold, they develop a vaccine like that. I would like to know how they developed that vaccine so fast. How did they have that available so quickly, right? And then didn't tell the people the side effects of such vaccines. Um, there are people get mitochondria or whatever it's called, um, from that inflammation of the heart. There are people that didn't recover from the strange flus that people got during the coronavirus. That's something that needs to be dealt with. He was pardoned from all of that, but he could have told the world exactly what happened and been covered under that pardon he had received, right? I don't know if I'm going out on a limb, but that's just the facts. Now that he took the Fifth Amendment 111 times, Senator Rand Paul is pursuing either uh, um, not corrupt. Oh man, um, hold on, hold on, hold it, because give me a second here. Oh, contempt. Yeah, there we go. Pursue contempt of Congress or contempt of committee charges against Anthony Fauci. All right. So we will see. He said they're going to hold a vote on that sometime next week. All right. Before they escape on their 37-day paid vacation. All right. Uh, Senator John Fetterman says his one regret from the COVID area is that he did not trust the Republicans on the lab leak theory. That is the one regret he had of everything that happened, was that he trusted his party over the truth, and he should have been pursuant to the truth, because that was the truth, right? That it didn't just happen to happen in a wet market, a butcher market, right? It actually came out of a BSL-4, right? And that's the one thing he regrets. Top 10 takeaways. So I covered some of this morning when I was doing the morning brief, but we're going to cover a little bit more. I just read the highlights of it. So remember, 111 times you take the the Fifth Amendment. So number one, Fauci applied for government grants for himself and got government employees to do it for him. His staff at NIAID covered down for him and did the work for him, and he got rich from it. Missouri Republican Josh Hawley revealed that during the hearing that Fauci allegedly used federal employees while he was the NIAID director to apply for government grants on his behalf for his work during the pandemic. You got rich while people were dying. Senator Hawley said, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes worth totaling over $1 million. Hawley said he has evidence of the applications for cash prizes that Fauci received during the Dan David Award and the Smithsonian Award. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all this. And it wasn't just for one or two employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true? Unquote. Fauci took the fifth. Number 2. Ron Johnson alleges Fauci covered up evidence that ivermectin works. Wisconsin's GOP Senator Ron Johnson accused Fauci during the hearing of covering up alleged evidence that the controversial prescription drug medication ivermectin actually is effective against the coronavirus. Quote, you said there is no evidence, Johnson said. Quote, there are all kinds of evidence. Loved ones had to go to the hospital, had to sue hospitals, so I want to know, to what extent were you involved in sabotaging hydrochloroquine and ivermectin? I'm not a doctor. I don't make big words. Johnson highlighted the studies that were found at 60 to 70% effectiveness rate against the virus, and then Fauci recited its Fifth Amendment rights. Number 3 is Marino asked why Fauci hired a criminal defense attorney. Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno questioned why Fauci would hire a prominent criminal defense attorney if he had done nothing wrong when it came to the COVID-19 pandemic, stating that the attorney was someone a client hires if they are in deep blank expletive. Okay, let me tell you who David Schroeder is for the audience. Moreno said he is a high-profile criminal attorney. He represented some really great people like Senator Bob Menendez. He's Gold Bar Menendez from New Jersey. Okay, he was bribing people. And there was an article here in the Washington Free Beacon that talks about why you would hire a guy like David Schroeder. The comment is, if you're in deep expletive, that's who you call. Number 4, Rand Paul confirms plans for Fauci contempt vote. Another top moment related to the hearing comes after Senate Homeland Security Chair Rand Paul confirmed that he plans to hold a contempt vote against Fauci for pleading the fifth in order to dodge answering the panel's questions. Quote, we believe he didn't need to hide behind the Fifth Amendment, and that may be the Fifth Amendment doesn't attach to what you have a pardon in place. The question on contempt will be voted on, and then there's the question of whether or not the Department of Justice will take that up. Number 5, senators question the legality of the Fifth Amendment plea. All right. Several senators also questioned whether Fauci could even plead the Fifth Amendment since he was pardoned by President Joe Biden before he left office. I said that earlier. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because, quote, you don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, and you very well know. Hawley said, as the Supreme Court has taken had made clear for a century or more, Brown versus Walker in 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand on his privilege. Quote, you know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now, shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law, he said. Quote, this is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. Number 6, Rick Scott tells Fauci how lockdowns hurt his own family. Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott, one of the best senators we have in the United States Senate, had also heavily criticized Fauci in his speech, highlighting how the former NIAID director's policies and guidances hurt the American health industry and even his own children and family. Quote, I have daughters with children. You can't imagine the questions they have surrounding vaccines for their kids and themselves, and the unbelievable pressure to make the right decision for their health, Scott said. Quote, I can tell you that pregnant women who worked with me were so scared. Even every time they went to the doctor, they were told something different about taking a vaccine. He said, you caused the fear. Scott claimed Fauci was responsible for destroying the trust in American medicine and accused him of lying to Americans amid the public health crisis just to enrich himself. Quote, you force people to watch their loved ones die alone over the phone, which is true. Because I had relatives who were stuck in nursing homes and nobody could come visit them themselves. You force people to watch their loved ones die over the phone. It's disgusting. You destroy the federal government's credibility when it comes to public health. He should have never received a pardon. Number 7, Hawley claims Fauci wanted to be the sun god of science. This is something else. Hawley also accused Fauci during his time in front of the former NIAID director of chasing fame and power beyond just wealth. Quote, though through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world, Hawley said. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, and all because you wanted to be on TV. Yeah, he could have been on TV like I am right now, and I'm doing this for free, right? You wanted to be the sun god of science, he continued. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted the lambast Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be that guy, unquote. The senator emphasized that Fauci sat for interviews with InStyle magazine. Who even reads that magazine? And received money, but could not answer questions for the American people in front of the Congress. Quote, somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time. I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did and how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more harm to science than anybody in my lifetime. Let's see, I got more stuff I need to do. Y'all can get this. I got this on justthenews.com, okay? If you don't know about my sources, I use Just the News, I use New York Post, and I use Fox News, okay? That's and the Federalist. That's who I use most of the time, all right? Okay, we'll go over this last one. Fauci's lawyer booted from the hearing. A final high-profile moment in the heated hearing was when Paul had Fauci's lawyer removed from the hearing after he tried to make a statement on his client's behalf. Paul said the attorney was allowed to counsel the attorney but could not testify, and that Fauci had a half dozen attorneys in the room. When the attorney tried to speak again, he was removed by a security guard. Ah, wow. Whoosh. All right. So yeah, this whole document was written and Misty Severi, she wrote it. Okay, she put it all together. So what else happened? The Senator Grassley canceled the Senate Judiciary Committee vote on forwarding the nomination of Todd Blanche to the full Senate, and that's because my senator recently defeated in the primary, John Cornyn, got all butthurt about President Trump and said him and Tom Tillis from North Carolina aren't going to vote for the nomination, which means it'll be pushed upside down and it can't get out. Now, two things can happen, but Senator Grassley doesn't want to push a failed nomination to the Senate floor, which he can, right? It can go unsupported to the Senate floor, and they can do the vote. They got the votes, right? We have 52 votes on the floor. That's what we got, right? That's all you need is 50, or you can have 49 to 49 and have the vice president break the vote, or whatever, however you want to do it, right? And that's doable because you can do. There are 48 votes in the Senate. You have in the Democrat Party, you'll have Cornyn and Tillis both vote no, so it'd be 50 to 49. See, it may not even make it through the full Senate. And that's because, like I was telling you earlier, that both of those gentlemen do not want to vote unless they have a written permission from the president saying they will not revive the anti-weaponization fund that was $1.776 billion to reimburse families and people that were wrongfully prosecuted by the federal government. Now, during the budget hearing for the DOJ during the reconciliation bill, so what had happened was that they promised to take that out. And they said they were not going to fund it at all. But John Cornyn and Tom Tillis weren't in writing. I mean, I said it this morning. Just fill out the little note, give it to them, make them feel good, because him and Cassidy and Tillis are leaving in January anyway. Just sign it so you can do the confirmation for Todd Blanche and get them in. Right? It's child games. These senators are playing little kid games, and like, what is John Barrasso doing to whip up the vote in the first place? You got all these guys like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to listen to my leadership. Well, John Thune ain't being leader anyway. Okay, he's just being a salesman. That's all. Man, it's already 8:49. Wow. As I catch my breath, give the episode a thumbs up, like, please. All right, and then, oh man, I got 13 people watching, and I got 2 people watching on YouTube. Wow, those are some brave souls there. But hopefully, within a few days, they can work all this out and get Todd Blanche confirmed as the new Attorney General. All right. Before I do this one, here in Texas, right? We have James Tellerico. He's running for the U.S. Senate, right? Tuesday, he had a campaign rally in Lockhart, Texas. Hold on. GOP senator moves to ban federal bureaucrats from collecting cash prizes after Fauci allegations. Oh, yeah, that should be bipartisan, but it probably won't. So James Tellerico was in Lockhart, Texas. You may not know where Lockhart, Texas is. I do. It's over by Buda. Buda is the largest selection of granite countertops and stuff anywhere in the state of Texas. It's over by Round Rock and Hutto and stuff. It's a whole thing, okay? But he was doing a campaign event in Lockhart, Texas, because Knucklehead, he is from Round Rock, right? Well, this is what he said during his campaign event. Democrat Senate candidate Tellerico, you can't make this stuff up, goes on a rant calling capitalism theft. He's quoted as, trickle-down economics is not a theory, it's a theft. They've been stealing the wealth that we all created. It is why everything sucks right now, unquote. So what Tellerico just told you liberals out there that own your own businesses that actually make a profit, that you are stealing from your customers, right? Because capitalism, that means your profit that you make from the goods you make and sell, is highway robbery. You are stealing from your customers if you make a profit. So you, Joe Liberal out there, business owner, why would you vote for this guy for the United States Senate? He is calling you a thief. He's openly siding with the DSA people that want to turn our country into a socialist / communist country. He can come debate me all I want. It'd be the James versus James show. I'll win. Him and his God is non-binary, and there's six sexes or genders, whatever you want to call them. And that what is the other one? He said God is non-binary. Oh, yeah. He hates Christianity, even though he's a Christian. Go figure. I would not vote for this guy if I had a gun pointed to my head. Seriously. All right? Keep Texas red. Vote Ken Paxton for the United States Senate. All right. Kevin Warsh had his second meeting yesterday on interest rates. It was reported that interest rates are going to remain the same, even though it was a 9-3 vote, and I meant to look up who voted what, because Jerome Powell is still on the board of governors, and I bet he was one of the 9 that voted to keep it steady, right? But it was a vote 9-3, so they have to wait another month before they can take another vote on whether to raise or keep the same or lower interest rates. Yeah, there was nothing in there. Let's see. Federal Reserve on Wednesday opted to keep interest rates steady despite the installation of Kevin Warsh as Fed chair. Trump appointed Warsh to replace Powell, who repeatedly criticized the hesitance to lower interest rates. Warsh was confirmed in May and previously opted to hold rates steady in the June meeting, and the agency is expected to hold rates constant yet again. That's because of what's going on in Iran, all right? It'll happen. It will happen. In election news, on Tuesday, South Dakota Governor Larry Roden, he's the one that took over for Kristi Noem when she went to the administration, because she's not a secretary anymore. She's still with the administration, but Larry Roden became the governor, right? And he had stood for election for the first time this session, and he won in a runoff. He beat Toby Doden, and he's some Bitcoin guy, right? But he won. Let's see. South Dakota Governor Larry Roden fended off primary challenger, businessman, and Bitcoin evangelist Toby Doden on Tuesday, winning the gubernatorial primary, the first one they ever had in the state of South Dakota. The Associated Press called the race within minutes of final closing. Roden received 70.5% of the vote. It was just like Ken Paxton beating John Cornyn in the primary. That bad, right? Let's see. And so to have a runoff, you have to prevent a runoff in the for governor in South Dakota. You have to have at least 35% of the vote, and Mr. Roden had 25.2. Yeah, he had 25.2 in the primary. Matter of fact, Doden finished first at 30.6, but he got trounced in the runoff. All right, what are we looking at? It's 856. All right, hold on just a second. I got to get ready for the raid. Hold on. Just takes me a second to get it finished. Sean Ferris is going to be on the Dan Bongino show today. This is the last one. Control V. Okay, I'm all ready. All right. So, congratulations to Larry Roden on winning your primary, going up there. You will win the governorship, right? Outright. Let's see. A federal judge a couple of days ago ruled that President Trump can amend its $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times and refile it. All right. Federal judge ruled this week that President Trump and his legal team can amend a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the Times and refile it if they do so by August 27th. District Judge Stephen Meriday ruled Monday that the president and his team have nearly 4 weeks to refile the lawsuit, declining to dismiss the case outright on First Amendment grounds. The president claimed last year that the New York Times and some of its reporters defamed him in a reckless disregard of the truth in 2 articles in a book published ahead of the 2024 presidential election. The Florida judge said the New York Times will have 21 days after Trump amends his complaint to file the rebuttal. This is how lawyers make so much money. Trump praised the ruling in social media posts and promised to disclose all the ways in which the Times has repeatedly and consistently acted in actual malice in defaming me, my family, and the great MAGA movement in America itself. All right. So that is done, and I'm not going to do the rest of them. All right. Hey, guys. Mays Middleton, he said that if he gets elected, and he will, as the next attorney general for the state of Texas, that he will launch a full investigation on Anthony Fauci in the state of Texas. Okay. Just so you know that. All right. And I read that in the Texas scorecard this morning. So if you get the Texas scorecard, that's it. That's the very first story that's in there. All right. Hey, guys, thank you all for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. It feels so good to have full high-speed internet. And if you get on my regular Facebook page and you see the deal about Rose and Caleb and their second anniversary, like it and comment in there, happy anniversary, or you can put it in the comments section of the podcast itself, okay? But thank you all very much. I'm going to initiate the raid to go over. So this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I will catch you on the flip side. I'm out. And here comes the raid. I appreciate everybody that listens to my podcast.